What are some of the dumbest rules you had in school? If someone came up to you and punched you in the face, unprovoked, you'd both get suspended for fighting. Football, soccer, was banned because it was played too much in favor of other sports. Instead, cricket was heavily encouraged. After 2 weeks, the rule was repealed though because too many kids were getting hit in the head with cricket bats. You couldn't talk during lunch. Yo, I had this at my school too back in the day. The lights were turned off too. It was apparently supposed to help us eat better. It made no sense. No picking up snow. I live in the Rocky Mountains for Christ's sake. At my elementary school, we weren't allowed to touch the trees. Touch the trees. They were scared we would damage them by touching them. Oh man, this is my thread. My elementary school was a breeding ground for this shit. We were not allowed to run in gym. You know that room specifically built so that kids can run around and exercise and shit? Yeah, we couldn't do that. It was too dangerous. I remember as a kid I was running and I legitimately got into trouble with my teacher. Fuck that guy. As we weren't running around the room, we were not allowed to pass anyone because, and I can't make this shit up, it might make them feel bad. Quality life lessons right there. When someone is better at something than you, cry. There was this one girl that had medical issues and could not move fast at all. Our class would be stuck behind her for the entire duration of our not running. Felt bad for her. We spent literally months on a dance unit. Our teacher, in his infinite wisdom, spent weeks teaching us the cha-cha slide. You know that song that literally has the dance instructions in the song? Okay kids, when the song says one hop this time you do one hop. Proceeds to demonstrating hoping once fucking shit Sherlock, I had no idea I was in advanced gym. Volleyball and soccer were played with balloons. I honestly don't know how you're supposed to hit a balloon so it actually travels a significant distance. Tag was banned at recess, and so was running. We were not allowed to use any stairs in the building. We practiced using the ramps. No, really. We would be directed to go down and then up the ramp and repeat. I could keep going, but I think you get the picture. We couldn't wear Raiders gear because it was too gang related. We couldn't wear blue or red. Our school colors were blue and red. We couldn't wear hats. The only exception was these overpriced hideous beanies they sold at the student store. I wore a hat to school in protest and printed out a copy of some California law I found about school uniforms having to be provided if the student couldn't pay for them. Showed it to the office lady as I walked in, was sent to administration. Showed administration my papers, principal bought me a school hat to shut me up. During my last year, even with an excuse and full apology from parents, my middle school would still punish late students. I one time got into a car accident and arrived 15 minutes late and I still got a detention. For a time, Pokemon and Magic the Gathering cards were completely banned at my school. They couldn't be had on school grounds at any time at all, including recess. They were considered to be such a distraction that being caught with them would result in a day or more of in-school suspension for the first offense. This eventually resulted in a small group of elementary schoolers peddling the more valuable cards black market style, and turning a huge profit doing it. People would set up buys just like a real drug deal. Meet me in the back parking lot during lunch. Bring money, and make sure nobody follows you. If anything, it was a better lesson in economics than any of the classes we took later in school. If people want something badly enough, there will always be a buyer and a seller who will do business. A few years after I left, my middle school banned hugging. This is completely true. We weren't allowed to bring dildos into school because they caused a riot when someone did. For anyone who is interested in the full story, me and my friends found a used dildo on our lunch break at the shops next to the school. So we thought it would be funny to take it in and mess around. My friend was asking people for the time and then poking it in their eyes when they weren't looking. Anyway, we threw it across the playground at a group of year 7s and forgot about it. The next day, we were all called into the head teacher's office and suspended for a week because apparently the dinner ladies were pelted by bottles and stones by the year 7s. They genuinely used the word riot and sent a letter to all our parents reminding us not to bring in toys from home. Hot Cheetos are not allowed on campus because it causes death. In my old Lutheran elementary school, boys weren't allowed to have hair longer than 3 inches. I had long hair, still do, and one of our school advisors, kinda like a vice principal, told me that I needed to cut it and that he'd call my mom to make sure it's done. I told him Jesus had long hair, why can't I? I was promptly suspended. We couldn't say bullets when talking about making a list in a Word document, instead we had to say nuggets. Where did they post notices and flyers? The Nuggetin board? No ankle socks because it was too sexual. Absolutely ridiculous. No water bottles or drink bottles of any sort because some people were filling them with booze at home and drinking at school. They banned high fives at my school. High fives. Apparently some douche pretended to offer a girl a high five and then hit or grabbed her tit instead. So since they couldn't ban boobs, God, wouldn't they have loved to do that, they just banned high fives instead. They also banned plain white t-shirts for guys. Not sure what their technical excuse was, but word in the hallways was that it looked too ghetto or something. A group of like 30 or 40 boys wore one the next week in protest. I can't remember what happened after that. Also no water bottles. I understand that bringing alcohol to school is a problem, but banning water bottles is just not the solution to that problem. My high school's handbook had a rule in it that if you committed suicide on school grounds, you were expelled. Catholic all-girls school, uniforms and the whole shebang. Part of our uniforms were rather short skirts, meant to fall above the knee. Senior free dress comes around and we can't fucking wear maxi dresses. Literally for our entire high school career we wear skirts so short our asses hang out, which was rarely considered a breach of code. Yet when we're about to graduate, we can't wear dresses that reach our ankles. Instead, we're allowed yoga pants, which if you're tempting for enforced modesty do not work at all. At guys' school across the street, there were boys literally standing on benches rating girls' asses. I wouldn't doubt if they didn't get in trouble, though the administrations were generally pretty good about harassment. It was just so backwards. I went to an all-guys school where you couldn't change in the hallways. I guess it made sense cause of sexual harassment laws with the women teachers, but whenever no teachers were around guys would start whipping their clothes off. It was like some game of cat and mouse and guys were always getting detentions for being caught whipping their pants off between classes. It sounds super gay, but the school was also really homophobic due to the complexes that come with an all-guys school. You couldn't touch other students. My best friend broke his ankle during recess in the 4th grade. Another guy and me carried him to the office. We got suspended.